You're welcome back. We're home stretch here on Business Morning. We're still continuing with the issue of employment generation, labor and productivity. We're going to be looking at the aspects of the private sector initiatives in terms of having to provide jobs for Nigerians. And Mike Adeleye, a human capital development expert, joins me in the studio. Thank you, Mr. Adeleye, for your time.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm sure you've listened to the former NLC vice president. I think is still serving. But what do you make of what he has said before I take you on the issue of the role of the private sector in providing jobs for Nigerians?
Thank you very much. I actually quite listened to the NLC vice president, and honestly, I was dismayed and quite surprised about some of the things that he said. Now, the Nigerian Labour Congress obviously is an influencing body that influences the government. Now, you have the capability to actually put a lot of things in place. Now, he spoke about workers not being paid properly. He spoke about the government bailing out some of the state government employees who couldn't be paid their salaries. Now, the issue is this. Now, that is in the public sector. But what about in the private sector? Now, you have a lot of workers. This is my world. I live and I breathe human capital, employment. Now, I see this every day. Now, if you're talking about 3 million people not being able to have opportunity to work or a job, there are jobs out there, and I can tell you that. As we speak, I can tell you as a human capital expert, I have hundreds of people, vacancies that we couldn't fill. Why? Skill acquisition. We have shortage of skill acquisition in the economy. Secondly, you have a lot of all these people who wouldn't want to work with a certain ethnic type of people. I'm talking about some foreigners. Now, I've seen and I have a lot of documented issues about a lot of employees and workers who have been bastardized, ill-treated, discriminated against in their own country. Now, the Nigerian Labour Congress are supposed to be the people who should be able to monitor all these events and issues, but they're not doing it. So is it not part of their responsibility to do it? You can't blame the government. You are an influencing body to actually influence the government and go around, set up a monitoring committee to actually monitor all these things. So when you detect it, you can actually pass it on to the executive, which is the government, to actually enforce. We have laws in this country. I've seen...
How are we implementing? I was just going to ask you, because if the NLC is an influencing body in terms of labor issues, don't we have laws that guide how this thing should be treated or should be addressed? And how are we implementing these laws to help ensure that the environment, the work environment, is suitable for everyone?
I was just going to come to that. That's where we're going to force the government on that part of the whole scenario. We have laws in place that actually guide against all this sort of discrimination, ill-treatment, bastardizing. And look, on my table as we speak, I have about 10 cases that I've had people come into my office and say, I don't want to work with this set of people. I'm not talking about foreigners. I've seen a case whereby you find when an employee goes do something wrong, either he's right or wrong, gets slapped by a superior officer. Now, who deals with these sort of issues? I've seen a case whereby people come to me and report to me and say, look at my body, bruises all over my body, right? Being all these technical guys that work in generator houses and so on and so forth. Now, when all this sort of, they don't have a voice.
Are these cases reported? Because I know that there are some courts that handle industrial issues. Are they being reported? Is there any channel through which the law can take its course in terms of having to report the case and let it be prosecuted?
That is where I have an issue with the NLC. I think it's part of their responsibility. If they don't have a voice. Their awareness is not there. They know where to go to. They don't know who to report to. They don't know the channels how to go through, and so on and so forth. So when all this thing happens, people are dying in silence. A lot of Nigerians, even some foreigners, are dying in silence because they don't know what to do, where to go to.
The new Labour Minister,
yes,
our time is actually running out. I want us to talk about that before we wrap up the show. What do you want him to do? Because I know that he's setting his own agenda, is working and meeting with stakeholders. He is having meetings and consultations with people involved in employment generation and how to move the ministry forward. What do you expect him to do?
I mean, I've said it over and over again. I mean, we should try to institutionalize the voluntary work system, whereby you have to bring it into every institution, into every homes, to be able to, for people to understand the benefit of going to do voluntary work. Because it helps from inception, from while you are still studying, before you finish, and until when you finish as well. Because it's going to make you to acquire skills, a lot of skills. So at the end of your program, your education program, no one's going to tell you don't have practical experience to work. And in some cases, they have automatic employment. So that is number one. Number two, we have laws in this country that says when you have, I think, when you have more than 5 staff, you must provide training for your staff. Now, if you don't train your staff, and I don't train my staff, now who trains who? I've been to some organization whereby they tell me into my face that they don't have budget for training. So when there is crisis, when there's financial deficiencies in many organizations, the first thing they go into is to call down on budget on training. So if you don't train me, if I don't train my staff, you don't train your staff, now how will those personnel acquire skills? By the time they live in you, because you're scared on thinking, okay, if I spend money, invest money, and train this person, he might leave me any time. But that, you can't hold on someone forever. But if we all go by the law that say we should train our staff, even if I train someone and the person goes elsewhere, you benefit. When I'm employing somebody else, it must have been trained, and I get that. So it goes around. So we will tackle skill shortage in the country. We have to look also into how we actually government funds training as well. Bring a lot of stakeholders in place. Training academies, training bodies to be able to train people. We lack skills in this country, especially in the areas of ICT. Look at the areas of artisans as well. You can't have credible workers in Nigeria to do tilings, ordinary tilings. You don't have tilers, you don't have plumbers, you don't have experienced carpenters, and so on and so forth. What happened to all our institutions in those days that we have all these technical schools? They're all gone. There's no proper funding. So now you want to build a house, you have to go to the Republic of Benin to go and import tilers into the country. Now, so what happens to, we are claiming we are the biggest economy in Africa, with almost about 200 million people, and we can't provide simple artisans. Now, if that couldn't be tackled, how are you going to tackle the white-collar job skill shortage? So I'm asking the minister, the new minister, Dr. Chris Ngige, he has a lot of work to do. Go into Nigeria Labour Congress to be able to actually put them straight, for them to understand the reason why they're in place in the first place. Then all the laws we have about employers and training, and you have to look into it. It's a good thing to bring in investors into the country. Okay. But who actually, when you bring the business in, who actually monitors and see what actually happens to those employers, sorry, the employees who work for those employers?
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Mike Adeleye. That'll be all we would take on the program. I'm sure it's an ongoing situation.
It is, yeah.
Of course, as ministers are settling down, beginning work, they are meeting people to ask of their opinion and setting the pace for growth in the economy. We'll surely get back to the issue of labor and productivity on the program. Mike Adeleye is a human development expert, and that is where we'll call it a day on Business Morning. We want to thank everyone out there for spending time with us on the show. We hope to see you tomorrow to look at another interesting topic. Bye for now.